Alright, if you're already here, go ahead and keep watching.
They had a military background, and they said, I've never really believed in Jesus or done the whole church thing, but I think I've seen the stuff you guys are talking about here. I just didn't know what it was at the time. This person was in the Army from 1997 to 2000, and they said, I was sent to McMurdo Station in Antarctica. The application process had a bunch of questionnaires that we had to fill out, and we had to sit for a bunch of one-on-one interviews. It was mostly just a bunch of questions about what our interests and beliefs were. It's weird that they would ask about their beliefs. They took cores of it out of boreholes in the ground. Just like normal ice, it was mostly clear and sometimes white. The only time I ever saw them actually studying normal ice was when a film crew, most of the time, the scientists were studying something they called sky ice. This stuff was totally different. You couldn't touch the stuff with your bare hands because it was so cold. And it wasn't clear or white like normal ice. It was solid blue. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. I heard people talking about the wall like that was a special place. It's pretty common to find ice walls and ice cliffs all over Antarctica. The whole place is ice, but it's all just normal white or clear ice. So I asked my friend where they get the sky ice from, and he said it comes from the wall. I don't remember exactly how he described it, but apparently there's a huge wall of sky ice in Antarctica. He said it was hundreds of miles inland from the coast. I never got to see it myself. Once they had the new boring machine figured out, that the machine bored a tunnel 5 or 10 miles into the wall. They never broke through the other side of the wall, and that they still don't know how thick the wall is even to this day. So it slowly builds itself back up after you cut it, because after a year or so the tunnel had shrunk smaller all by itself, like a self-healing wound. It starts closing up. They had to leave the boring machine inside the wall because the tunnel shrunk too small to get it back out.
Good. Also the solid will be bluish. So here we fill it into the aggregate, which we will further on the liquid oxygen. And here it comes. Here is solid oxygen, which is bluish. Blue form, very nice to see. You can see that is paramagnetic. So here we have now solid oxygen. Again, bluish color, it's frozen, and you see it's sticking on a magnet.
Okay, so here's where it gets really tricky. Now, if it was summer in the southern hemisphere, the South Pole would have a 24-hour sun, right? So if you're in the south of the globe, a round globe, it would be circling around you in 24 hours.
And you wipe away the gunk from your eyes, and finally, you can see the truth. There's no going back. You can't unsee the truth. You can't reapply the grogginess and the gunk. You're awake. And while you still might have to decide what to wear and what route to take to work, one thing you do know is that you can't go back to sleep. So what is it that you will know or realize by the end of this video? Well, you should realize that Antarctica is not what we've been told. So let's get it on with the evidence. Now think for some pretend second here that we're on a ball in the endless space, spinning on an axis. Such a place would have two very interesting locations, a North Pole and a South Pole. The North Pole is pretty well documented, and there may be more to find there, but the place that we're going to discuss today is the southern continent, the South Pole. The Antarctic Treaty prevents countries from laying claim, prevents any kind of military action, and prevents you and I from going and taking a look. Luckily, we can review videos and webcam footage to get an idea of what exactly is going on down there. Now, let's say we are trying to prove the globe or trying to prove it's flat. Should be very, very easy, right? I mean, on a globe, we would have a 24-hour sun in the southern summer. That means that the sun would circle the continent. That's quite different from the flat Earth model where the sun circles the entire Earth from above, and since Antarctica is around the outside, well, that doesn't include a circling sun. At least not around you at the bottom continent. Okay, let me show you what the difference between the two options would be. And for someone at the pole, this is what we should see. I'm in Antarctica. It's December 19th. And we're going to start moving the clock here ahead just hour by hour to see what the sun does, or should do on a globe. We're at midnight here, so we're pumping ahead 2, 3, 4 o'clock. And you'll see the sun just does a 360 around the southern continent, which should be really evident and great proof of the globe. Show a couple video camera feeds or webcam feeds of that sun doing exactly that and shadows making a 360-degree turn. And there's your proof, flat Earth, dead in the water. So here we have another globe perspective. The sun standing still there on the left, and the bottom of the bogus ball would be rotating clockwise, causing the sun to shine 24 hours a day on the South Pole, which is vastly different than if we are looking at a flat Earth. Whereas a flat Earth with the sun making the trek daily around the Earth, somebody who is standing near the South Pole or in Antarctica would always see the sun coming from their northeast and heading off to their northwest. And so they would see something a little bit more like this image, which shows you exactly what I believe we are seeing. On the top there, I put a little view of what it would look like from Antarctica, and you can see the sun starting in the upper right and traveling to the left and heading out towards the northwest. Okay, so we now understand what we should see if the globe were the case. If the sun actually circles the southern continent and the Earth was a globe, then this should be absolutely easy to prove, right? There would be a ton of evidence of this easy to prove fact. Isn't that right? We should have video footage in abundance of the sun circling the continent, causing the shadows to do 360-degree turns around an item. I hope you agree with me. If you're capable of using your mind, and that since video recording has been around, that there is no reason to not have numerous examples of this so-called 24-hour sun. So let's take a look and see what we find. First up, a South Pole video, a 24-hour time-lapse. Oh good, 360-degree shadows. Let's watch. Here it comes. Alright, so here we are at the South Pole. No way of faking this video, huh? But let's watch anyway and see. So we have some flags starting around 9 o'clock, heading towards 6 o'clock, and then they'll be heading up from 6 towards 3. Watch the tracks there in front of these small flags. Just keep an eye on those tracks here in a second and make sure you note where they're at. And we'll see that the front flags are rotating around almost to 3 o'clock now. The back flags look a little bit questionable, if they are even moving in a circle. And so now we're at 3 o'clock, so we're halfway there. We'll be heading towards 12 o'clock, but oops, here comes some bad weather. And what was that? They just took the flags. Alright, so those flags are gone, and you can look at the ones at the top that do look like they're moving, but if you look for the tracks at the bottom, it looks to me like a completely different day. Certainly not proof of a 24-hour circling sun. Not by a long shot. Alright, let's move on. Let's check some webcam footage. Well, here we are, folks. 90 degrees south, Amundsen Scott South Pole Base and Station. And here we have a ceremonial marker erected by everyone's favorite traitors to humanity, the Freemasons. Can we give them a round of applause? Now, settle down, settle down. Come on, they're just like us. Only dirtbags. Alright, so here we go. We're looking at this webcam footage. I'll leave the link in the description. We're looking from February 2012 all the way to April 2014. Started at this one here. And let's watch the shadow as it does its 360, proving the globe. Or maybe not. We can watch the shadows on all these webcam videos, and we can see that never do the shadows complete a 360-degree turn. In fact, never is there a video of an entire day. We could look up here and see at the time that it will go through, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, then it will skip to 10 for no reason. Remember, these are the webcam videos supposedly for the purpose of showing us the 24-hour sun at the South Pole. And we can see that the sun goes by the horizon there, right to left. But does the sun go behind us? So watch these shadows and you'll see them start, grow, and then skip. Start, grow, and skip. So what they're showing us is proof of absolutely nothing other than the fact that they have edited these webcam videos. The sun does not go behind us as would be required in a 360-degree sun path around the southern continent. This is every month that they have a webcam video for. They have edited and cut out part of the day. And these are during the main months, which are January, December, and November, the southern summer. In this video, let's watch this green flag down below. You'll see it starting around maybe 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rotates around to about 2 o'clock, and then resets. Rotate around, reset. This is obviously a lie. This is obviously not what's going on. Why don't we get to see the sun do a 360-degree turn around the southern continent? Now remember, this would be pretty good evidence and proof of the globe, because it doesn't work on a flat earth to see the sun go around the southern continent. However, on a globe, it is something that should be really evident and should be seen in every single summer video from the South Pole. But again, watch the flag. It'll start around 8 o'clock, rotate around until it gets to 2, and then reset and start over. This should be a huge eye-opener. Should be something that screams to you, fraud.
And this gets even stranger. Norway, in the northern hemisphere during the northern summer, it experiences 24 hours of sun, but the sun during this time-lapse photo gets smaller and larger. With the sun being so far away already and the earth rotating on its axis, it shouldn't look too different, lower or higher in the horizon.
Look at this. Look at this. People actually believe that there is a car floating around out in space.
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. Like, we'd have way better CGI if it was fake.
This is live on the air, okay? I'm going to zoom in on the Earth in Photoshop. You see the Earth? Okay, I'm going to go to Image, Adjust, Levels, and I'm going to bring the levels up. Uh-oh. What is that? Why is there a square box around the Earth?
It is Photoshop, but it's has to be. It is Photoshop, but it's has to be.
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
So let's use this model of the Earth. And let's enlist the help of a friend, Taxi. You might know her.
Next segment, I'm going to show you how NASA grabs objects in 3D space, rotates them around, manipulates them. They can do this with water, with cloth, anything. And the cool thing about it is we can take what they're doing, what they're seeing with their contact virtual reality augmented lenses, and put that on a separate video layer live. Okay, I have a lot of Tim Peak screw-ups, but this one here, the system glitches, the software does not track his hand properly, and Tim slips his hand underneath his other fingers, which is tightly holding onto the mic, which would be impossible.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. We'd have way better CGI if it was fake.
Just another example of NASA faking space. Let's take a look here at this supposed image of Jupiter. Nothing more than CGI fakery. The supposed auroras. Again, at NASA's official website, where it states Hubble captures vivid auroras in Jupiter's atmosphere. Here's the problem. The date of June 30th, 2016. Now take a look at this. Another so-called official image of Jupiter. This one's from back in 2014. You see the problem here? Now let's take a closer look at the supposed two images provided from NASA of Jupiter. All the clouds are in the same exact position. Here's a side-by-side. People can't see what's taking place here with NASA. Nothing more than fakery. I mean, give me a break. This is a complete insult. You have a brain in your head.
Like you're in a studio, maybe in Omaha, Nebraska or something. The shot is so clear. Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
I don't know. We're going to have to do something for you.
I want to do it. I know. Oh, yeah, I can do that. Watch this. Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
Can you do a somersault right now?
Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
See the hair? See the hair?
And they just start making stuff up.
Yeah.
Like that Neil Armstrong guy. Have you seen him on the talk shows?
Neil Armstrong, you mean the first man to walk on the moon?
Talk about a fish story.
Yeah.
Man, and they're buying it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space?
Can you be more specific? Air bubbles?
So yeah, like a lot of times during the footage, the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Now sometimes you get water in the helmet, and it's either from sweat or from the cooling garments, and that's generally what that is. I've never seen any kind of air bubble anywhere.
Could it be that you're filming in an underwater pool and you're not really out there?
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
In 1986, the shuttle Challenger exploded about 74 seconds after takeoff, killing all 7 astronauts inside. Or did it? It turns out that 6 of the 7 are still alive and kicking today. Ellison Onizuka claims to be his identical twin brother, Claude. Yeah, I've got an identical twin brother, Claude, too. The Challenger pilot, Mickey Smith, hasn't even bothered changing his name. He's now Professor Michael J. Smith of University of Wisconsin. Now, Krista McAuliffe was a bit of a sneaky one. She was the Challenger payload specialist, quite famous for being a teacher. It turns out during her astronaut days she was using her middle name, Krista, and now she goes by her first name, Sharon. The Challenger commander, Francis Richard Scobie, is now Dick Scobie, which sounds like a rather unpleasant disease. Judith Resnick, the Challenger mission specialist, again hasn't even bothered changing her name. She's a professor at Yale Law. And finally, Ronald McNair, another Challenger mission specialist, claims to be his identical twin brother, Carl McNair. What are the odds?
So there I was, just minding my own business, looking at Google Earth, and this big, snow-covered monstrosity is staring me in the face like, why is that covered in snow? So I keep digging a little bit deeper, and I finally get underneath this cloud cover here, and a few images pop up. And I say, oh, images, what are they? Well, this is what you got, which I'm sure that looks familiar to you, right? Looks just like the pictures they give us of Mars. So I'm just kind of creeping around here and definitely noticing the same kind of undulation changes and same kind of rock, same kind of dirt. The only thing that's missing is that nice little red tint that they pay somebody $150,000 a year to put on there. So I'll keep kind of going through here and see if it... What the... Yeah. So, I got another truck. Oh yeah, it says NASA. What's that say? Mars project? I think I found out where Mars is, guys.
At some point in the future, we're going to look back and say, how did we do it without space?
The kinds of technologies that we're testing out on Space Station are definitely helping us with our goals of going beyond low Earth orbit.
Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore.
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
There's a small problem with going to the moon, and inch by inch, NASA is leaking out that they know that there's a problem there. It's called the Van Allen belts, high radiation belts of charged particles around Earth, and we don't know how to get through them, they say. Well, isn't that interesting, because there sure didn't seem to be a problem back in 1969.
The moon landing stopped in 1972 and we haven't been back. We haven't been beyond the Van Allen belts.
NASA admitted that it had lost the original footage of man's first steps on the moon.
Go to YouTube and watch A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. It contains newly discovered evidence, which is part of the missing tapes, of outtakes from the first mission to the moon, of them falsifying a shot of being halfway to the moon.
For NASA to come out and say that all the tapes were erased, I mean, it's incredible. Geraldo, this isn't just one tape. This is rooms of tape labeled Apollo 11 moon landing. Someone had to physically go and erase it. It's very challenging to try to prove we landed on the moon, and it shouldn't be challenging. The tape should be there. There should be plenty of evidence.
I mean, it's proof right there. This is an official NASA photo of the first Apollo 11 lunar module landing on the moon. I mean, it's right there. This is proof, man. It's the picture's right there. It's landing on the moon. But the only problem I have with this picture is that it's taken from the moon. People who believe they saw the landing on the moon because they heard it on the radio.
There's a picture of the INSAT actually being deployed from the spacecraft.
Did you see it in the background? There was a guy in the background, man. I'm not kidding you. You can't deny that that's someone in the background. There's a guy moving in the background.
And I'll tell you, just if nothing else, here's why you can tell they're not fake. Just to create the paperwork, that amount of paperwork would make faking it prohibitively expensive. No one could afford to generate that much documentation.
All of that happened in a little town called York, Maine, across the United States from where we're talking to you right now. Across the United States from where we're talking to you right now.
My research of the last year has led me to the conclusion that not even low Earth orbit is possible, that the International Space Station is a hoax, and all manned space travel is fake.
First, though, let's have a look at the International Space Station. I want to talk about some of the anomalies I see there. For the inside of the International Space Station, there are a couple of zero-gravity tricks that they use to fake it. The first is they have a complete mock-up of the International Space Station built on the inside of an airplane. And that airplane does a bunch of rises and falls. It does an upside-down parabolic trajectory, and that simulates zero gravity. The other main way they simulate the zero gravity is with suspension in front of a blue screen. And they use that trick for extended periods of time, for longer than 45-second segments. But they can't move around as much. They can't do the acrobatic flips and rolls in the extended mode. So there's full motion mode where they can fully move around, and that's faked in plane. And then there's suspended or extended mode where they're suspended by wires in front of a blue screen. They don't move around as much, but they can make the scene last for a longer period of time. The extended mode is much quieter than the full motion mode. In full motion mode, you can actually hear the sound of the jet engines, the engines of the airplane. In every single scene of full motion mode, in every segment of the International Space Station, you can hear this loud sound, the sound of jet engines. You could argue that it's the air conditioning system. Not even an office air conditioner is that loud. And why is there a loud sound in every segment of the International Space Station?
Mr. Armstrong, Bart Sibrel, ABC Digital. Wanted to give you the opportunity to swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon. Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon? You have $5,000 cash. You can give it to charity if you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon. I have the tape.
It'd be fine.
Why don't you swear to... Why not? Why won't you do it?
The Earth supposedly 23.4 degrees on its axis. And that leaves you, of course, the occultic number, again, 66.6 degrees off. Well, Earth is supposedly orbiting around the Sun at 66,600 miles an hour.
The Eratosthenes Sticks and Shadows experiment. Many people may remember NASA spokesman Carl Sagan presenting this experiment by using a map of Egypt with two obelisks attached and showing their resulting shadows. The story goes that around 250 BC, a Greek mathematician and philosopher named Eratosthenes noted that at noon, during the summer solstice in Sienne, the sun cast no shadow, and the rays could reach straight to the bottom of his well. Yet, meanwhile, in Alexandria, a vertically standing metal rod cast a significant shadow. Eratosthenes, Carl Sagan, and other globe proponents reasoned that this result is impossible on a flat Earth. To quote Carl Sagan, "If at a certain moment each stick casts no shadow at all, that is perfectly easy to understand, provided the Earth is flat. If the shadow at Sienne is a certain length, and the shadow at Alexandria is the same length, that also makes sense on a flat Earth. But how could it be, Eratosthenes asked, that at the same instant there was no shadow at Sienne and a very substantial shadow at Alexandria? The only answer, he claimed, was that the surface of the Earth is curved. After reaching this conclusion, Eratosthenes then famously factored the length of the two shadows with his assumed distance to the sun and recorded a measurement of the globe Earth's circumference close to what heliocentrist astronomers still use today. The fact of the matter is, however, that Eratosthenes, Sagan, and others are simply incorrect in their assumption that this would only be possible on a curved Earth. In reality, the exact same results occur on a flat Earth with a local sun. Eratosthenes' calculations were made assuming the sun to be millions of miles away, so that its rays would fall perfectly parallel, even in points as divergent as Sienne and Alexandria. Anyone familiar with the phenomenon known as crepuscular rays, however, knows full well that the sun's rays simply do not fall perfectly parallel, especially at such distant points, rendering the entire argument moot. Furthermore, Using sextants and plane trigonometry, by measuring the sun's angle at 2 points on Earth simultaneously and factoring their distance from each other, the Pythagorean theorem reveals that the sun is not millions of miles away, but instead less than a few thousand. High-altitude balloon footage has also filmed lighting hotspots on clouds, further proving the sun to be local and acting as a spotlight. Therefore, if globe believers wish to be honest, they must admit it is their faulty assumption that only a distant sun with parallel rays could produce such results, which has led to their faulty conclusion of a curved Earth. Because flat earthers have always maintained that the sun was local, and the very existence of crepuscular rays rendered the entire experiment invalid.
Now see these differences from the images from 2012 to 2013 from NASA? They say they had to CGI render all these different photos and put it together, and they couldn't take a photo of the actual Earth. So, I wonder why. So here's atmospheric lensing.
Because I sped this up, I made it only 2 minutes long instead of 4 minutes long. So you can watch the whole thing in a little bit slower motion there. But look at the comparison right here, just in these two images right here. The one on the right at 5:44 p.m., 63.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Can't really see anything on the left shoreline there. And on the left at 9:43 a.m., when it was 59.5 degrees Fahrenheit, we can see the shoreline, we can see buildings, trees, all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, either this lake is, filling up and draining so that the water level is higher or lower, or it's due to atmospheric lensing and distortions, refraction, and all that good stuff, causing us to not be able to see it at certain times. I think that's exactly what's going on Lake Michigan. And again, based on that imagery that I saw looking 46 miles across versus 0.6 miles across, I really do believe, just like the experts said, the globalist guys, these are people who believe in the globe now. They are the ones that said, hey, the atmosphere really is acting like a lens, and they put a lens in front of the camera to show how it works. So I'm just doing what they're doing. I'm using the same logic that they're using, the same science that they're using. And, science is all about testable, observable, and repeatable data, right? So to alleviate the problem of distorting the edges because the magnifying glass ring is too small, I went on Amazon and I got these plastic magnifying sheets and came up with another way of doing the same thing using the sheet right here. Set the city up, a little cutout of the city, and now I've got the big magnifying glass sheet. Bring the camera right up to the lens. See, that's the normal view of the city. Now let's back up again.
The science is the same of that of a lens. Here's a simple example.
So if you're looking at Chicago here,
the atmosphere really is acting like a lens.
Yes.
Atmosphere really is acting like a lens, and this is how much of the city is missing due to the lensing effect, the magnification of the atmosphere. You're missing a good portion of the city just by pulling my iPhone back on a 3-foot long desk. That's how much I lost of the city. And as with any scientific experiment, you always try to improve upon what you did before. So I got some foam core, made a little housing for the magnifying sheet, and pasted the city on the back there, and I made it as two separate pieces so that I could flex it as necessary, because I think that there are different types of atmospheric conditions that would allow for more magnification versus less magnification. So in this scenario you have more magnification, and in this one you have less. And for this one I decided to put the Toronto skyline into my little box here. And let's try it again. Okay, we're all the way up against the glass. Now let's zoom across the lake. And wow, look at that. The lower portions start to disappear. Now let's zoom back in to get a little closer to the one that Captain Baltard was talking about here. And wow, look at this. Here's his image on the right, and here's my image on the left. Missing the lower portions of the city had nothing to do with curvature whatsoever.
No one really knows how it works, so let's go. So just keep your eye on that big building back there and watch the size of it as we get closer and closer. Now, normally when you drive closer to something, wouldn't you think it gets bigger? But in this case, it shrinks, hence the word the shrinking mill. But watch as you get super duper close. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Look how small it is. And we were all the way back down that hill, and no one even knows how that works. It's tiny.
On the moon landing, they supposedly landed in the Sea of Tranquility on the front facing of the moon, and the moon always faces the Earth. So if they were to have taken a photo of the Earth, they would have had to face the camera straight up in order to take a photo. They would have had to land it on the side of the moon in order to take this photo of seeing the Earth to the side of the moon.
Yeah, I'm still talking, of course. Stunning! Stunning! Oh my God! Look at it! And they're telling you this is a mirage. Oh my God, I can't even... I'm sorry guys, I apologize for having a meltdown, but this is stunning. Check this out, check this out. Towers of Key Biscayne. I'm gonna zoom out real quick. And just... Well, you got to see it right there with me, pretty much at the same time.
Hey guys, so real quick, let me go ahead and put things a little more into perspective here. So we are on, of course, the globe model provided by Google Earth, and we zoom into the location. And this is it right here. This is Key Biscayne on the right. This is where the lighthouse is, and this is where I'm standing over here by Black Point, and standing around here. And as you can see down here, it tells you the distance between these 2 points, 13.75 miles. And as you can see, Cape Florida Lighthouse, according to Google, is 95 feet tall. So for everybody who's new to this, we'll go to the Flat Earth debunking website, metabunk.org. They have a curvature calculator. At 13.75 miles away, 13.75 miles at 6 feet viewer height, the lighthouse should be hidden by 77 feet. If you take into account standard refraction, which is a joke, it's literally a rule of thumb, even then 63 feet should be hidden.
Here we see the white light hitting the glass triangular prism and refracting the light into a straight rainbow. We have never seen a straight rainbow, a triangular rainbow, or one that forms right angles or goes up and down or left to right. In order for refraction to take place, the white light has to reflect through a prism, which has to be transparent like glass. So whatever the white light of the sun is hitting when we see a rainbow, it has to be the shape of the prism it is hitting. The rainbow is always there, but there needs to be a screen for us to see it. The rainbow is always there, but we only see it when the rain forms a condensed mist, like a screen. That's why we see smaller rainbows in garden sprinklers. And it's important to note that the rainbows we see in garden sprinklers retain the same shape as the ones we see in the sky. The screen mist of water provides us a screen to see the refracted light of the rainbow, which holds its prism's shape, i.e. a glass dome. It's really that simple. In the same way, the laws of density and perspective are really that simple. But here's where it gets unbelievable. Look at this image of a rainbow reflected in the ocean. Notice how the colors are reflected, like in a mirror, so the colors are reversed. The violet, indigo, and blue that are always at the bottom of the rainbow are here at the top of the rainbow in the reflection. Now try this for yourself at home. ScienceSparks.com tells us how we can make a rainbow. You can either make a rainbow with a mirror. Try placing a mirror inside a glass and angling the glass so sunlight hits the mirror. You should be able to reflect a rainbow onto a wall. Or you can do the same exercise, but instead of using sunlight, you can shine a torch. The rainbow that is reflected from the flat mirror, i.e. the prism, and the screen of water, like when it rains or there is water mist, creates a near straight rainbow onto the wall. If water is the reason for creating the arched rainbow shape, as science says, then why does it here produce a straight rainbow? Now take a dome circular glass as your prism and fill it with water and let the white light of the sun shine through it. You get an arched rainbow because the prism has a dome-like shape. And it's just like the rainbow we see here on Earth. There is a double rainbow here. But unlike the double rainbow we see reflected in the ocean, the colors here are not reverse. Now look. Can you see it? The colors in the top rainbow are reversed. What you are seeing is a reflection of the rainbow in the glass firmament above, just like you would in a mirror and just like we see over the ocean or a lake. How dare they lie to us? And now really think about it. Why would a satanic Illuminati network of individuals who have all the money, power and control in the world and who molest, rape, torture, murder, drink the blood of children and worship Lucifer want to hide that our earth is flat and that there is a firmament above and the sun and the moon are local and within our dome? Why hide the true nature of our earth from us? Then you remove all possibility in the person's mind that their life is anything more than a random coincidence. However, if the Earth is a closed system with a firmament above, then it really requires serious speculation and consideration as to how our ancient ancestors and various ancient and biblical texts knew this. The Illuminati cabal do not want us to seriously consider the notion of creation, purpose for human existence, the existence of good and evil as real energetic entities, rather than archaic words to describe something that their fraudulent sciences call the spectrum of mental health.
According to Flight Radar 24, Hawaii Airlines Flight AJ51 was flying south of Salt Lake City over Utah when it abruptly changed its path towards the northwest to make an emergency landing in Seattle. The flight was being tracked live, and the flight path being presented here is in accord with the Globe Earth model and Google Maps. All of a sudden, the plane made a 90 degrees turn to its right and headed towards Seattle for an emergency landing. How could that even be possible? As with Hawaii Airlines Flight AJ50 make an emergency landing in the northwest region of the United States, San Francisco, and Hawaii Airlines Flight AJ37 also make an emergency landing in Oakland, California, 31 miles northeast of San Francisco, in the northwest region of the United States, I was not surprised in learning this plane made an emergency landing in Seattle. Most likely, this airplane wasn't even at the place where the tracking software was showing it to be. Not much can be found about this flight or why it went from south of Utah to Seattle for an emergency landing. Nevertheless, we still have to compare the path of this flight as shown in the screenshot with the Gleason's flat Earth map and see what conclusion we get. As compared here, the flight path of Hawaiian Airlines flight AJ51 on the Gleason's flat Earth map is a straight line from New York JFK to Honolulu, Hawaii, having Seattle exactly along its path. We conclude that this emergency landing in Seattle makes more sense when we look at the flat Earth map and makes no sense at all when it's looked at on the globe Earth model. The path of this flight on the screenshot showing the plane making an abrupt right turn and heading northwest towards Seattle leaves a trail of questions. Why didn't this plane land in Salt Lake City since it was flying south of Utah? How about Las Vegas? Why didn't this flight keep going until we reach Los Angeles or San Diego? What's wrong with Los Angeles that these flights coming from the southwest always land in the northwest region of the United States? Same thing happens when these flights go from New York towards Hawaii. Just a reminder to you that according to the screenshot, Hawaiian Airlines flight AJ51 was flying at least 200 miles south of Salt Lake City. When we compare all these three flights, AJ50, AJ37, AJ51, this is the conclusion we get. All three emergency landings covered in this video favor the Gleason's flat Earth map over the globe Earth spinning ball model.
Tell you something. You've been deceived. It's not your fault. You can let go of your ego. Nobody's going to laugh at you except other people that can't let go of their ego. But people that have caught on to the con and realized the power grab that's taken place, they're not going to laugh at you. They're going to welcome you. I'm telling you again, the worst thing they fear is the hive mind. The one thing they fear is 300 million people in the United States coming together on one topic and saying, this makes no sense. We need answers. Why is the flat Earth so important? Because it shows the deception. There are enough reasonable questions to create reasonable suspicion that we've been lied to. They can't afford to keep being asked.